Hello and welcome to another episode of Reminiscences. We are in Katsina, where our guest today is Dr. Halima Yelwa Adamu, who became a medical doctor, I think 47 years ago. So she's a pioneer in this part of the country, especially for the female folks. She has worked in many small and big hospitals in Kaduna, Katsina, and Abuja. She has also been very active in public enlightenment on health, as well as being an administrator, permanent secretary in many ministries in Kaduna, and then commissioner in also Kaduna State and Katsina State. She has also served at the federal level in the Federal Character Commission. And I think if you look at any committee or board, especially in Katsina here, she's likely to be the lone female member of it. Dr. Halima, I'd like to welcome you to this program. And to start by asking about your early education. As a girl child in the 1950s, when you were growing up, was it difficult to get a chance to even go to school?
Well, as for me, I think I'm very lucky because my late father really wanted his children, both girls and boys, to go to school. And his interest in me actually surfaced after he has been taken into care of one of my aunts. And when giving me to her, he requested for three things: that I should be put into school, I should not get married at a very early age, and I should not be given tribal marks.
Tribal marks?
Those were the requests he said to my aunt. But unfortunately, because it was a village, and every little girl is given tribal, I was given tribal marks. And he got annoyed and went and took me away from her and sent me to school. So sometimes when I look at my face, I'm the only female child with tribal marks in my family, and I want to get annoyed. He said, don't worry, without those marks, maybe you might never have gone to school. And then it was easy. We went to school. And during our time...
Was this in Katsina or Malumfashi?
We started in Katsina. Then I went to Malumfashi, Funtua, and back to Katsina. So within my 5 years of primary, senior, and junior primary education, I went to 4 towns. But that was possible because during that time, workers, both civil servants, local native authority staff, they don't do what we now call living out. You are living in one town, your family is living in another town. Wherever you are posted, you have to carry your family to go. And this is why I was able to go to...
So you are following your father, he was being posted to this place?
That time you have to follow. Nobody is allowed to leave his family away from his working place. And this is the trend that now you find people, they don't take their work serious. Some even don't report to work regularly because the family is not there. So
were there other girls at this time with you in the school?
Well, we are fortunate because our the late Imam of Katsina Al-Haji Sa Usman Nogogo is interested in girls' education. Actually, because his children went to school, his sister went to school, and the children of title holders in the emirate went to school. Actually, so it was not very difficult, and the then native authority of Katsina was very supportive. All you need is to allow your child to go to school. Everything you need, from uniform, provisions, and anything that you need, it will be given to you free. And even transportation. Sometimes, if you are going to boarding school, because then the primary education was mainly elementary, which is the first 4 years, which is equivalent to junior primary school. And then to go to senior primary school, because there was only one girls' senior primary school in the whole Katsina province then, which is equivalent to Katsina State now. We have to sit for an exam, an interview from each of the districts of the emirate. The 2 emirates of Katsina and Daula, they will choose those who are going to senior primary school. And once you are in that senior primary school, your parents have nothing to worry about in terms of paying for anything, even transportation. They will come to your village or the village head house in your area. They will pick you up, take you to school, bring you back. So it was actually not difficult. And you know, we are not many, and we are well taught. Because I remember some of the things I now teach children, what I was taught in primary school, even how to hold needle so that you don't stick anybody and nobody sticks you, how to hold scissors, how to hold any sharp object, you know. I was taught in my primary school. And then the concept of being clean, cleanliness, I was taught in my primary school. So we are really taught.
I noticed you went to Government Girls College Dala for your secondary education. Was that unusual? Is it because there is no equivalent in Katsina for girls?
Up to the time of the military coup of the 1960s, the Northern Nigeria had only 2 government girls secondary schools. That is Queen's School Ilorin, Queen Elizabeth School Ilorin, and Government Girls College, Dala Kano. They are the only 2 girls secondary school. The others are women teachers colleges, and all the other secondary schools are those of the missionaries. So once you are going to a government girls secondary school during our time, you have to go either to Ilorin or to Kano.
I see.
And I went to Kano.
Was it a strange experience for you coming from rural Katsina to this big city of Kano?
It wasn't such, because my senior primary school was boarding in Katsina. And then because my father was a civil servant, he was posted to other parts of the country, even though I didn't go with him, but he was posted to Jos, Maiduguri, Sokoto, you know, so I didn't find, and even Kano, I didn't find it strange to be in Kano, because actually that time my father was in Kano when I was in secondary school. The only thing, it was boarding. I'm not staying with them at home, but at least they're available.
What decided you, after Dala, after your secondary school education, was it then clear to you, have you started thinking you are going to be a doctor, or is this something that you just went into by accident?
Actually, my family background is that of health. I'm from a background of health professionals, like my late cousin, Dr. Tukur Abdullahi, who is the first medical doctor in the family, and my late uncles, his late father, Galadima Abdullahi, my father himself, Aliu Malufashi, was also in the health, Neabri, they're in the health. We have so many health workers in the family. So as if I am being considered to belong to health, but fortunately for me, my preferred subject was mathematics. And actually, I applied to read mathematics in ABU. I was given admission. But somehow my family had a small meeting in Bakwari Road, the house of my late cousin, Justice Mamman Nasser, where my uncles, late Alhaji Halura Abdullahi, my cousin, and my father, and Justice Nasser decided that they think I should read medicine. And you know, that time there wasn't this Dr. Chief, Mrs. Jam in between. All I needed is to apply to ABU that I want to read medicine, and they gave me the offer. And this is how I ended up reading medicine. But at the back of my mind, I had some things that were sort of pushing me to like health. Like when I was in senior primary school, I had a febrile illness in which I was admitted at General Hospital Katsina, and I could see the smartness and the care given by the female nurses. Because at that time we thought only male are doctors. Women must become nurses. So I was interested in the smartness and the consideration given by nurses to patients. So I really had some interest. And then at the same time, there was a time when I was in my primary school, I was taken to a village for holiday. On my way back, we stopped at Ankanjiba, because that time you do half trekking, half cycling, and then if you want to join a transport, that is a lorry, you have to go to a village where is the market. So I was in Ankanjiba on Thursday waiting for the end of the market day so that we can join the lorry with other passengers going to Malumfashi. Then I was staying in the house of Sarkin Tasha, of the town, and a woman was brought in, gushing, bleeding. And then I remember how I felt. I wish one could be of assistance to her. These are some of the interesting things that I could remember as a child that pushed me. But actually, my interest was really to be a mathematician.
Yeah. Was medicine difficult? Because the impression is a long course. It involves dealing with human body and all that. Was it difficult for you to be a doctor? Most people avoid it because of the length.
Actually, it was not difficult. Because during our time, we were not many. I think our class were about 30 or so. To a dead body cadaver, about 5 or 6 of you can cut and see and do everything. And like now, where you may have up to 100 or so students in a class, maybe sharing cadaver with about 20 others. They say it was straightforward, and you know, it says it was straightforward. And then the scholarship we had when we were in the university was very good. It covers everything you do, so you don't even bother your parents. Your scholarship is enough for you to buy your books, to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, to even go to do shopping and even some people use the money to even help their parents and guardians by either buying cycle or bicycle or grinding machine. So it was not difficult.
Yeah.
It was not difficult.
How was your experience with the first cadaver?
I don't know. I know some people felt bad, but somehow I don't know. It wasn't shocking. It wasn't shocking like some people, because I know people who ran away from reading medicine when they see the cadaver. I don't think it was. The only thing I know, the boys used to tease us. They used to tease us, you know. And then my experience when I was a medical student, at first when we went in, they thought, because I was bushy looking, I don't look like a medical student, they thought I was being pushed or favored because I'm from House of Lani area to go and read medicine. And they started following me up till they started seeing our results, and they gave me, and some of them actually told me that when we first came during our orientation, we were asked to explain the meaning of the what do you call it? This of ABU. What do you call it? The cover, the Hatimi. What do you call Hatimi?
Yes, that
ABU brochure.
That symbol, yes.
Yes, symbol. What they wrote Jamar Ahmad Bello in Ajami.
Yes.
And simply because I read it, it's written in Ajami.
Yes.
They thought they made mistake. I'm supposed to go to ABC then Abdullah Baro College, which is now UK, to go and read Arabic or Hausa.
Studies. Because of the way you looked.
Because the way I looked, and I was able to explain the meaning of Jamia Ahmad Bello. Then I was able to read, and they started following me. They gave up only, they said, when the class test started coming and they saw me not doing badly, actually doing very well. And then they told me themselves that they've been following me to find out whether I was being favored to read medicine because I'm from Katsina.
So what happened when you became a brand new medical doctor from Katsina, one of the first actually in the region? What happened to you? Were you then confronted with the challenge of where to work or what to do?
We are talking like that. Because even that time, before your result is out, you have been given an offer. Even when we were in the final year, the team came to interview us from the then North Central State, which is the former Kaduna State. And you are given offer even before your result is out. And you know the failure rate is not very high. And we don't have anything. We didn't have problem with the job. The only problem one would have faced is the issue of, you know, I'm from an area where they do early marriage. Not considered married early, but immediately after secondary school, I was supposed to go to marriage. And you can imagine I did not marry till I was in almost my last year of
in the university.
School. I was considered choose. I was considered a choose. Some people even thought I was up to 40 years, and I was just 24. But they, when they are discussing, they say I was choose. This is what they call choose now. When a woman, a young lady, decide to delay marriage for whatever reason. Because if my junior sister would marry at 17, 18, and I delay marriage till I was 24, you know, it was considered an abomination. It was, but somehow.
Were you under pressure to get married while you are a medical student?
Not such. You know, that time it was not very difficult to even get married. Everybody would get a husband that time. It's not that people start struggling. I don't think so. We have no problem of getting a husband. Getting a husband is not your problem. Because the young men immediately graduate, they get job. And now what is happening, when the young men don't get job immediately after graduation, and then 6 years later, they're able to get a job. They find the girls they wanted to marry 6 years back look too old for them, and now they start looking their faces into the younger faces, and this is where you find the age of marriage is shifting. And now people who marry at 24 are considered very young. But during my time, oh Lord, choose.
So at what point did you make the decision to marry? Is it a family arrangement?
Family. I just got married.
To who?
To my husband.
Yeah, I know.
He's my cousin.
Yes.
We got married. And you know, I'm from a background where what we call this inter-relationship marriage. So like in my family, we are 7, and 5 of us all married.
You married cousins?
Cousins, yes.
It's a Fulani thing.
The first and the last didn't marry their cousin. But all of us, so it's like, I don't know whether you call it arranged marriage or so, but it wasn't arranged as such, but it's taken for granted. Actually, that time, nobody has problem of getting a husband.
So, but how does it being married and then you're having this growing career now in medicine? How did you work?
Well, you know, that time, the income you have was excellent, both you and the husband. You can afford to actually eat well.
What was he doing?
Well, he was working. He worked at sugar company, Bachita. He worked at transport. I've even forgotten the transport company he started, you know. So it wasn't easy. It was not difficult as people face, because now I really sympathize with the newly wedded. I say, what will they cook for their husband when they are doing tazarchi, or when they are doing indomie only to their husbands, you know? That time it was very easy. And then also the working condition was excellent. And everybody appreciates everybody. Unlike now, where the issue of appreciation goes around economic or political strength. Once you don't have current economic and political strength now, you are considered as if you are nobody. But that time, the little you do to people, they appreciate it. And it was good. Actually, I enjoyed my work.
You are living in Kaduna?
We lived in Kaduna, and we lived in... Before then, we lived in Zaria, we lived in Bachita, and then we lived in Kaduna. It wasn't difficult, honestly. And you know, that time we even have support. Relations, they come to support you. So that people hanging around your children, unlike now where people only stay with paid staff, where there is no blood relationship or any traditional or link with their children as domestic staff. During our time, you just have people around you. I remember when I was going to do my postgraduate studies in Liverpool, my stepmom followed me. We had no problem. And even that time, there was no problem of visa. You can take anybody anywhere you want. So it was really nice. I didn't have much. And I enjoyed my studies. I enjoyed my work. My limitation is that I'm considered like conservative in terms of dressing or taking part in some social things.
Even in England?
Well, in England, you know, that time, well, I will even say in England, but not like now. So this is my limitation. Even right now, people don't hear you around things that are considered modern, you know. And even sometimes, people just consider you as if you are. I remember as many times I want to fill the pilgrim's form. Some people will fill for me and ask me to sign because they assume I don't even know how to read.
The way you look.
I don't look like somebody who should be able to read and write. I still have that problem. And even I remember as a medical student, when we are going through some corridors, some gatemen will stop me. They will let others go. I have that problem. Even when the daughter of late President Omar Erado was getting married, we are going together for a reception with a colleague of mine who's just left a course, Halima. They let her in. They asked me to go and sit where we are together. They gave her a big seat and asked me to go and sit where the domestic staffs are sitting because I didn't dress like somebody who should look significant for such occasions. Well, so sometimes I get that embarrassment.
Why don't you dress like that? You are a very prominent medical doctor, former commissioner in many.
It depends on what you like. And this
It's deliberate. You don't want.
No, I dress now. I dress the way I think I should dress, and I'm all right. But I still get that a little bit. I was so embarrassed. She said, "Why can't you?" I said, "No, this SSS, they can finish me. Since this is why they started me, they think I stay with domestic staff. Let me go and sit there." I sat there throughout the occasion, and I asked them, I begged them to let me talk to Farida Waziri, who was then the
EFCC lady.
EFCC,
Yeah.
because she did the godmother. Because her late husband is my colleague at the Federal Character Commission, later Senator Ajudu Waziri. But they refused. I begged them to go and say I'm the one, but they refused.
It doesn't
So
offend you.
I just don't look like somebody who should be of any significance.
That doesn't offend you. You
It
just,
doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend me. Go and let everyone go and do what he wants.
I noticed that in Kaduna, you quickly left practice of medicine and became an administrator, permanent secretary, later on commissioner.
I don't think I left practice of medicine. Because even as a permanent secretary in former cabinet, I had my clinical consultation room in my office. Even at the Federal Character Commission, I was still consulting. Because you see, my advantage is I've been a pediatrician, whether you like it or not. Nigeria is a third world country with a large population of children. So anywhere you go, you see children. So I don't think I left my practice. Up to now, I never left my practice.
Okay, but
the only thing, maybe clinically, to go and stay at the hospital. But whether you like it or not, you must see issues concerning health, growth, welfare, development of the child in Nigeria, yes.
But how did you come as an administrator, permanent secretary, commissioner in so many ministries in Katsina,
this
Kaduna?
permanent secretary thing. Well, I would call it we were lucky. During the constitutional rearrangement of the 1979, the power to appoint permanent secretaries was given to the governor. Earlier, it was the Civil Service Commission that promotes. And then since then, people have used that issue. And this is why you find, even the current administration, you find people who are not considered fit to be permanent secretary. Like me, I was not considered fit to be a permanent secretary because I was too young. I didn't have the administrative experience. The only file I ever held was my patient's file, but I was fortunate. The people I met, people I took over who were so nice to me, particularly late Alhaji Balarabe Mahmoud. He's the permanent secretary I took from. I went to his house in the evening to greet him. He gave me everything, general orders, everything to do with administration, and he lectured me about being careful and reading A to Z of everything. And then what I had the advantage is that I used to learn even from the clerk. I was close to everybody, so I was able to learn and take it easy. And you know, that time, being a permanent secretary is not considered a position that you boast because of economy. Nobody has any excess money outside his salary. So you are just an ordinary person, and they will judge you by the ability in which you are able to cope. I remember one of my our late senior colleagues, late Nakana Rafindai said, Halima, you keep quiet innocently and you start blowing bombs. Because I was able to listen, I was able to read A to Z, you can easily catch up. And if your education was real education was good, your papers are your papers. You know, you can easily fit in. After any first degree of anywhere then, during at whatever you read as first degree, you'll be able to fit in. So I didn't have problem. I was able to listen, I was able to read, I was able to give due respect to my seniors. I never pushed myself anywhere that I will either cause problem. And honestly, it has been very nice. And I'm a little bit forgetful. I remember when we were in the cabinet with the late, what do you call him, Professor Ikara. I think he was in the cabinet, Professor
Bashir
Ikara. And I remember one day we were planning a trip to, is it Russia? I was supposed to be part of the delegation, but either I was pregnant or breastfeeding. So Colonel Engiwa Umar say I should come and brief him because I will not be able to come because I was either pregnant or I was breastfeeding. I said, all right, sir. Fortunately, when I went to his room, I forgot my handbag. And you know what he did the following day? He brought the handbag to the council meeting. He said, whose handbag is this? I said, sir, it's mine. What was your handbag doing in my room? I looked at sir, well, but fortunately for me, when you opened the bag, there is nothing inside. No makeup, no anything to frighten his wife. But inside, except one Bible and one. So that's what saved me. And it was, this such, and we enjoyed it. And during our time, as commissioner, it was so good.
But commissionership, doctor, is a political appointment. How come you are picked as a commissioner in so many, in both Kaduna and Katsina?
When I came back from my postgraduate course at the end of my being permanent secretary, the new government of the NPN, where my father actually belongs, because my father was a member of assembly of the NPN, and I was serving under Balaro Musa, yes. PRP, so I was considered PRP.
You are PAMSEC under Balaro Musa?
Yes. Yes. When my father was a member of this Cabinet State Assembly, yes. NPN, and so when I came back, the late Lawal Kaitas, that I'm PRP, I cannot work with you. And I remember I still, before he died, I said, sir, I'm not the one who rejected me because I was PRP, and also you people went and impeach my government. We used to joke, and it's nice, and the advantage we have, we are highly respected as commissioners. This is where I actually sympathize with commissioners of nowadays, where a commissioner sometimes is just a picture. You find somebody, even a cleaner in the governor's wife, can interfere with their abilities. I remember when I was going to escort my father for a medical treatment abroad, I went to Engiwa Umar, then Colonel Engiwa Umar said, sir, I'm going out. I learned you are going to have a cabinet reshuffle. Please, am I going to be affected? He said no. But on my return, I was posted to Minister of Planning. I went to him and said, sir, but I asked him, sir, I said, Halima, don't worry. It was pressure from those people, the people who wanted my seat. And they gave it to later Professor, what do you call him? Musa Shock, who is a very close friend of mine. But
so you moved from health to planning?
I went to planning.
Planning from health.
Gave me advantage of knowing everything about government. Because that time, you cannot spend, or you cannot bear, or you cannot do anything without getting clearance from budget and planning. And like nowadays, so I really sympathize with the commissioners now.
But so was it challenging for you to be a commissioner in your home state of Katsina? Because that's when the state was created, you moved here to Katsina.
Well, when we moved to Katsina, I was considered, throughout our 6 months, I was considered an inherited cabinet. Because we were brought in from Kaduna as appointees of Engiwa Umar. We were brought to serve under Salki Mukhtar. Even though he swore us as commissioners, I think we are 5. Late Alhaji Sili Abubakar, Rus, late district head of Ingawa, then Mansur Sodengi, who was in the, what do you call this bank?
Bank of the North?
Bank of the North.
Yes.
And the late engineer Abubakar.
Usman?
Usman, who headed the railways before he died. And then, of course, Lawal Yusuf Sola and myself, we are the only two. Like, we are sworn, but up to the time we left, we are considered as, they all asked the governor, what are you going to do with the inherited cabinet? And they did not start till we were kicked out. We only served for about 8 months after the state creation. We went back to the hospital. But what I remember that of interest, I remember who were in the cabinet in Kaduna, and they wanted to test, they were trying to test bread from wheat. That time they are trying to create bread from wheat, not bread from cassava of Obasanjo's time. This one is bread from wheat. Yes. And the sample was brought to us from, what do you call it, Institute of, there's one institute in, is it Institute of Agric, I don't know, they brought sample of bread made from wheat, and we were asked to test. You know what I did? I actually sat on my 2 hands. Every commissioner was saying his verse. And when they came to me, I said, sir, you know why I sat on my hands? Because I don't want to tell lies. I don't even want any spirit to put my hand up to say it's nice, because it's not nice. this is what you cannot afford to do now. The trend, the thought, and the wish of His Excellency are your wish now. You cannot say anything contrary. You cannot go and face a governor and say, why did you do this? I remembered with Sarki Mukhtar, we had similar. He was calling me lady and gentleman. I said, sir, why are you calling me lady? And he said, because when he came to the state, he asked if there are any women. They said there are no women. I said, sir, can I be of any help? He said, yeah. He asked me to give him a list. I gave him a list of women. And he put them in his drawer, and he started
appointing into his government.
He started appointing, making some chairman, all this, and then we started to fight with the people. Where is it? I said, sir, especially of the former, I said, sir, you don't have to know all the women in Katsina, but being a woman and from a university setting, at least you should have asked me. But because you didn't ask me, he asked me, I gave him. So this is the issue, you know, which now commissioners nowadays cannot even do it. You know, and really, I really sympathize with them, some of them.
Tell us a little bit about your career at the Federal Character Commission.
Well,
I mean, for a doctor, you have served public health commissioner and all that. How come you are given this rather odd appointment? You
know, the Federal Character Commission, Mala Adamu, Wazir Mfika, is a very tough guy. You know him with his with his stand. So it was straightforward. And then actually we were just trying to establish the structure of the commission, and we were able to tour, we were able to report, and also we were able to serve as both federal level and state level, because unlike some of the commissions like INEC and other commissions, you find the national commissioners are different from the state commissioners. But for the Federal Character Commission, the national commissioners are also the commissioners of the
zonal commissioners.
Yes, so we have, no, the state commissioners.
State.
So I was able to have my office in Katsina State and also an office in Abuja. And fortunately for me, I was also given the opportunity to oversaw Kebbi, Zamfara, Sokoto, because the Kebbi counterpart, late General Malami, died, and then Senator Ilagada left to join politics, so I was able to cover those areas. And you know me, being a pediatrician, you want to see, you want to go. It's not easy, so I was able to have the advantage of touring all of these states. Actually, I took part. And sometimes I even took interest in things that are not directly to do with federal character. Like in Kebbi, we were fighting about 6 preventable 6 killer diseases. I was there. It was nice. And you know, it was safe then. You can travel anywhere, you can do anything. It was quite nice.
Was it controversial because the federal character is still seen as something that is a northern kind of preference, that is not fair to the rest of the country? Is this something
it's federal character that is even preference to everybody, because like now under the federal character stand, you find if you go to some certain state, even if you ask people to be employed there, they will not go. But everybody from most part of the country, you find them in some of the states considered to be in favor of federal. Now, if you go to teaching hospitals, and there is nobody, there is everybody from everywhere there. But if you go to some federal medical center or teaching hospital in the south or southeast part of Nigeria, you will not find anybody from Katsina. So I think federal character actually favors everybody. So
was that job, Federal Character Commission, sort of the end of the public career? From there you sort of came back and settled in
character. You know, before I went to federal character, actually I left the main civil service of ABU Teaching Hospital earlier, and then by the time I finished serving at the federal character, I came back to Katsina. Since 2001 I have been physically in Katsina.
What have you been doing?
Well, I've been taking it easy. I've been doing odd things on the health level, serving at some clinics, acting, working. I worked at the Moro Musa Yar'Adua University Clinic as an acting chief medical director for about 4 years, and I was able to do some community issues. I worked with Ofakora Saving 1 Million Lives project for about 2 years. You know, I just do little odd things. And being an author, I also concentrate on my writing. I'm writing, I'm doing some radio talks, I'm just The only thing I didn't take part seriously is partisan.
Is what?
Partisan politics.
Partisan politics.
But in my mind, I believe the way things run, I don't know. Because if you compare what happened during the PRP, NPN time, there is what you call goal, aims, and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract, I don't consider it as politics. This is why I'm not ready to go partisan. But I support issues. I support people. But the way things are, it's not easy. And I'm one of those who believe in God, believe in principleness. All this defection and all this thing, I'm not, it sometimes makes me, I want to feel, I don't know. And that's why I cannot do partisan politics, the way it is being practiced.
Yeah. But what of your old association with the PRP? Is this still there? Do you still have sympathy for a party like that?
You see, life is sometimes not straight, because whether you like it or not, you are concerned about everybody. It's not that you want the poor to become rich and you want the rich to become poor. No, you want to be fair to everybody, and sometimes it's very difficult to practice. The attitudes, like some of our attitudes in our area, the attitudes of I will call it laziness, or not going to look for your own. You want people to do it for you. The attitude of putting eyes on people who have made it, you think they are the cause of your problem. This is why it is a little bit difficult for me to say. And you know, as for the partisan politics, well, I don't know. I was quite close to late Abdul Qadir Musa up to the time of his death. But then sometimes we share things that I consider they are not practicable under the circumstances. And we just feel that what we need now is justice.
Were you in the PRP Board of Trustees, by the way?
I was not. Unfortunately for me, during the time we served PRP, it's not a precondition that you must carry a party card. And this is what is making things difficult for people to work now. If you are considered good and you add value to their program, you are invited. I remember when late Dr. Bala Usman brought how many of us from ABU? Ikara, real Professor Ikara, myself, Abdurrahman Abdallah, and late Sarkin Jiri, Dr. Saad Usman, we all brought from ABU. People say by Dr. Bala Usman. We all serve as permanent secretary, and I don't think any of us were carrying a party carrying member. But now, once they give you a job, you must carry their party. And this is where you have problem. And then you find that the civil servants, they don't feel comfortable, because once they don't show trends towards a party, you know that if that party did not come back or another one come, you are going to suffer. But that time you are just considered as your worth, and you are considered as your worth.
Do you have any specific ideas about how we can deal with the problem of the country? You are very experienced in administration. So even if you are not involved in partisan politics, do you have ideas or suggestions on how we can deal with these problems?
I don't know how it can lead to examination malpractice. Because you see now, if you say a child with AAA, and his father is saying, why should he go for post-UME? Because maybe the father contributed to that AAA. Because when they do the post-UME, sometimes you find they do poorly. I remember a father was annoyed that his child got A and B, and then he didn't do well at post-UME. And then when they brought the script, the child had A, B, but his script was 9% post-UME. It means one of the gross things is this examination malpractice, if I have my way. And then the other thing is injustice. Because how could you be well off, send your children to best schools, leaving them behind assets when you die, and then you want people not to change their social status? So once a child is that of a security man, he cannot go to school, he cannot get a job. Even if he managed to get NC or a diploma, he can never get a job. It means we are crying for social disharmony, because nobody is now going to change your social status. Once you are poor, you are going to rise on the poor side. So I want justice. And I want the people who have so much to consider the others in their handling of issues.
But how is it to be done?
I don't know really. You say if I am. Because how can I stop examining malpractice when people are given bribe to allow people to cheat during examination time? How can we have people who are not qualified to be in the classroom? When they are recruiting, they don't recruit based on qualifications. Even practical qualifications, sometimes they are not correct, they are sold. So this is why the education aspect is really, really very serious.
Do you have a chance to advise the government? I see you are in many committees and boards of Katsina. Do you have a chance to advise the government at the state level, even the federal level? Buhari is from here in Katsina. Did you have a chance to make input into what's going on?
You know, sometimes an opportunity to, like, if you look at the way I am now, you find opportunities to meet people usually at gatherings. Maybe they are doing wedding, they are doing send-off, they are doing inaugurations, they are doing things like that. People have opportunity to mix. But you find that by the time people are like me who hardly appear in those places, the opportunity is not there. And then by the time they see that somebody in government is interested in you, and they think likely you are going to do something that may not be to their advantage, I think there is blockade. And I'm not very pushful when people are blocking me. That's one of my major weaknesses. I just sit quietly, go into other things I'm interested in.
So you have not been specifically invited, let's say, to make an input, either at the federal or the state level now?
I don't think I was invited, because I remember there was a time they were having Northern Governors Forum in Niger State, and the issue was to do with health. So one of my schoolmates, who is a nurse, she's Nupe, rang me. Auntie, I said, what is it? Which room are you? She just automatically thought in that team of Katsina I will be among. I said, where I am in Katsina? You mean they didn't bring you along to discuss? I said, no. So these are some of the things that people you just have to push your way. But this is why I say, when you don't have current economic weight or current political weight, you are considered as a nobody. Maybe they will say, Madam, first doctor, and beyond that, nothing else. So there is nothing you can do about it. And if you are not ready to do otherwise, you are not ready, you are not even in a position, you cannot even do it, then you just sit and mind your own
business. So what do you do now? What do you do to occupy your time?
I do a lot of things. I do teaching. Like most of my domestic staff, I make sure I teach them how to read and write, even some of them, how to encourage them to go to school. Then I do the Islamia side. I read the Quran regularly. I'm actually working on the languages, on the words, Arabic words from the Holy Quran that are into Hausa. I'm currently working on that. I'm being an author. I'm also writing on many issues. You know, I'm interested in writing because I believe if you die, your software brain is gone forever. If you don't write or don't teach others, it means whatever you have is gone. And this is where I believe I should teach others, either physically, or you write, or you discuss. You know.
How much of your writing is published, is available widely for people to read?
Unfortunately for me, 2 of my main works are in Hausa, and they're medical. And you know the Hausa language now is suffering because people, they don't even know how to read and write Hausa. If you look at body languages of lorries, you would cry. The orthography of Hausa is gone. Even on invitation card, they will write Azo. You know Azo is 2 words.
Azo?
Azo Lafia.
Yeah, okay.
You are invited to come, but they always put Azo as well. Because they don't know in Hausa a verb is very important. It's not joined before or after by any word, but they don't know the orthography of Hausa is missing. So if you read Magana Jari or Liademi Karfi or Gandoki, you find that really what is happening to Hausa is so sad, you know. So I've written on childhood.
So these books are in Hausa?
Two are in Hausa, I've written four are in English.
What are the names of the Hausa ones?
The first name is to do with breastfeeding.
For women to know how to...
Yeah, the value of breast milk, including some songs. And then the other one is on hearing loss.
Okay, I've seen that.
In Hausa. And then I've written in English about HIV.
Hearing loss in children, right?
Hair loss in children. A little chapter of hair loss in adult, which is catching me up because of old age. So these are some of the things I have personally.
And the ones in English?
HIV/AIDS.
It's in English. It's in
Yes,
English.
and I have written a chapter on non-communicable diseases, and I have written a chapter on some books, and I've reviewed some books, and I have some papers, almost like COSI books that I have written for primary health care workers. You know, like how to simply make diagnosis easy, how to do basic laboratory tests, you know, and how to look at common problem of the skin, because it's a skin an area people tend to forget, and there is so much. So this is
You write on general topics. I noticed something about a chapter on Balarabe Musa.
Yes.
What is that about? Is it
you know, they were writing about him, and the some of us that have worked closely with him to write. Well, I told them what the experience I had, because I remember when I was made permanent secretary. Late Mala Abdi Yazid called me to his house. I said, sir, whether I would accept it, I said, sir, but you know, because that time I had been offered to go abroad and read membership on the Royal College. But somehow, I don't know, before I took my decision, they just announced that I was made permanent secretary, and I moved. I was in the Ministry of, I think I started as Ministry of Social Development and Community Development. Then I moved to, I don't know, I moved to health. I was in health also. So I'm still interested in writing. And I'm interested in listening. I'm not very good at watching.
Yes.
But I like to listen. Because listening allows you to imagine. But if you are physically seeing somebody, you cannot. So I like listening. Yeah. I listen to programs, and I listen to discussions. Yeah,
you've won so many awards, so many honors, OFR, ON, and all these honors both. If I'm surprised at the number of honors, because I didn't know, for example, Katsina has a merit award, which it gives to its people, and you are one of the winners. I don't know how that came about.
Well, you know, I remember when our former governor, His Excellency Ibrahim Shima, was given CYM. One of a very close associate of the party came to my house and said, "Congrats, my Akachi, we are just wishing you have had one." I told her I had my OFR since 1990s. Said, but why are you not talking about it? They said, they don't talk about it. You only if you have a current economic weight and current political weight. If that time they discuss anything to do with you. But quietly, you mean you have all these honors out there? But what do you do with the honor? Because the honor initially was even giving you privilege, like if you go to airports, somewhere giving you don't pay to be in the VIP and many things. But no, I don't know what it is.
It doesn't work that way.
But I don't know. It's nice to have the honor and.
There's one that struck me also. Two honors actually from Canada.
Yes.
One to do with the mathematics.
That was my best subject.
how come you got that one from Canada?
You see, when I was in school, our transport officer was a Canadian teaching us mathematics. And she's in charge of transportation of students to their homes. So I'm her secretary. She just invited me. Everything we do together, we make lists, we go to the bank, we collect money, we distribute money to...
This was in Kano?
Kano, Government Girls College, Kano. And I think she is the one who recommended me to have that. And actually, I love mathematics. it's nice to have mathematics and it's straightforward. With the only subject you can get 100%. Any other subject will give you 100%. Sometimes go but in math you can get your 100%.
So you won that award from Canada?
Yes, they gave it to me from Canada. I don't know. And then also I had this deaf something which I'm interested in.
Also a Canadian award?
No, I don't know. I can't remember what it is, but it was it? Yes, it was a Canadian award. I worked with one Canadian lady at school for the deaf, Kao Kaduna. It's a private school for the deaf near Government Girls Secondary School, Kao, former St. Faith. That's where we were. I had that. We are the founding members of that. And I had that award. I'm interested. And actually that award and the work I did for that school pushed me to write my book in-house on hearing loss. And I had the opportunity when I was doing some of my training in UK, I was able to visit most facilities to do with hearing loss and such problems.
I notice you keep saying that if you don't have economic and political weight, people don't even seem to remember or consider what you are.
You know, for example, if after I left Federal Character Commission, I have been a minister, or I'm currently ambassador, or currently some one of these. That's the political level. It's current, because even those who have had it, when they are not current on it, that's why I insist on current, because I really had political weight before. But if your current weight is not significant, current in Nigeria, they tend to. Like now, I was trying when I had the death of late Malam Musa. I put Musa, and they kept talking about Hannatu. All my Google. I said, because currently Hannatu Musa has overshadowed. But if you consider the role late Musa has played, you can never imagine if you put Musa, they will not talk about it. You know, that's the meaning of the current. You must be there and then.
But how does it affect someone like you? You had a long and distinguished career. And is it that at the end of that career, one doesn't feel well recognized or rewarded by the society?
It's just that one doesn't, like, I belong to one group of, to do with, it's a learning center in Malumfashi, started around to honor the late Galadima Abdulmumini, who is my father-in-law, learning center. And then somebody mentioned me, that I have been given one award. Then somebody wrote, but what has Dr. Halima Adamu done? You know, at his own level, he doesn't know me, because nobody mentions me. Nobody. This is why the children of nowadays, because they are very poor at going through history and reading, they only know the people that they are working currently in and this is the level which, unless you have a current political or economic value, you know. And another experience I had was some years back. I lost an aunt and I was trying to locate her house. She's a senior sister to late Alhaji Halil Abdullah, who is very well known, highly brother. And we were there trying to look for her house, and we say, do you know the house of the sister Alhaji? I say, Hali Saadu. Because currently Hali Saadu, the one who married the former Taraba governor's wife, he's the one reigning now. So the children, and they still say, hey, you know they have forgotten about Hali. Because all they know now that is Hali Saadu, a rich man from Malum Fashi, young, successful, even he has married the wife of the former governor of Taraba. This is why I say once you don't have that current value, you tend to.
Yeah.
And what did you feel when you walked into this house? What did you feel?
I feel that you are living modestly for somebody who has done so much. That's quite my frank opinion.
So you see, this is, and when people, but you know what I say is true. Alhaji Kabir, you are just trying to tease me.
But do you feel personally fulfilled?
I feel.
That, look, you have done the best you can.
I feel. And this is why I don't go further looking for any particular advantage economically or politically. Because I know I can. I'm living comfortably. My children, all 6 of them have gone to school. They've got jobs. My 2 wards, the people I looked after, they are all graduate, they are all working. I feel comfortable.
Yes, so you don't have really.
And this is why why when people want to say thank you, you know, normally some people want to say thank you. Like one of the people who have been very, 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 very considerate and think I have controlled his life is the Minister of Aviation. He keeps doing things for me. He said he can remember when we were students how I insisted they remain on full payments, and I was so kind to them. But not so many people remember what you have done to them while they are growing, you know. But and when they see you don't look sick, you don't look worn out, you don't look what they consider as suffering. They just don't see any reason why they should remember what you've done to them and thank you. So this is what I mean. I'm comfortable. I'm not looking for any additional advantage. And actually my people used to say, Naibachi, where I've been sleeping. Because if they know the way I'm connected to, like, we had two presidents from Katsina State, and personally close to the two of them, late Umar Adwa and President Buhari. But they start wondering, why don't you have any advantage of being considered for any? I say, no, but I still have higher regards for them. I still have higher regards, because I don't believe you only regard people who give you. Because they still respect me. I still, up to the time of his death, Umar Ararua respect me so much. He said, Halima, there was a time where Halima, I'm the cause of the women problem in Katsina. If I had gone partisan, maybe things would have been better for the women in Katsina. You know, I have high regards for them. I have nothing to do against the present government, you know, in terms of, because I was not given anything, because I consider some of the valuable things they are doing that will affect the well-being of others. Because after all, I'm going to be 73 in August. So if you remember Surah Yasin, verse 68, if God give you long life, He's going to reverse you. And now we have been reversed. I'm working with a stick, wearing glasses. You have to shout for me to hear, you know. So what am I looking for? It's just to help others and do it. I have nothing against anybody. That I'm not looking for any additional political or economic thing. And I have no grudge against anybody. And I'm comfortable.
Thank you, Dr. Halima.
Thank you very much.
May Allah give you long and peaceful life, which is what you need. And also, I believe the opportunity to continue contributing to the country. And viewers, I hope you followed this conversation with Dr. Halima Adamu, pioneer medical practitioner from this part of the country. And as you heard, somebody who has a rich life and made something out of it. Thank you for joining us, and until we meet in another edition of Reminiscences, goodbye.